Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Boost Podcast. I'm Emma, and I'm really excited about today's topic because it's something that affects all of us in our daily lives. We're going to be talking about habits, specifically how to change the bad ones and build better ones.
And I'm James. Hi, Emma. This is such a relevant topic because I think everyone has at least one habit they'd like to change. Whether it's checking your phone too often, eating unhealthy snacks, or procrastinating on important tasks, we all struggle with habits that don't serve us well. At the same time, we all have good habits we'd like to develop, like exercising regularly or reading more books.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is that habits are incredibly powerful. Scientists say that about 40% of our daily actions are habits, not conscious decisions. That means almost half of what we do every day is automatic. So if we can learn to change our habits, we can really transform our lives.
Today, we're going to explore the science behind habits, discuss why they're so hard to change, and share practical strategies that actually work. We'll also talk about our own experiences with changing habits, both the successes and the failures. I think it's important to be honest about how challenging this process can be.
And of course, our friend Olivia will help us with some useful vocabulary at the end of the episode. This topic has some really interesting words that you'll definitely want to add to your English vocabulary.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia. Habits are fascinating from a linguistic perspective too, because we have so many expressions related to them in English. I'm looking forward to explaining some key vocabulary later.
Before we talk about changing habits, I think we need to understand what habits actually are and how they work. Emma, do you know much about the science behind habits?
I've actually read quite a lot about this because I was trying to understand my own habits better. From what I've learned, habits are basically automatic behaviors that our brains develop to save energy. When we do something repeatedly, our brain creates a neural pathway that makes the action easier and more automatic each time.
That makes sense. So habits are like mental shortcuts that help us function without having to consciously think about every action. Our brains automate these processes so we can focus our mental energy on other things.
Exactly. And researchers have identified something called the habit loop, which has three parts: the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is something that triggers the habit, the routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is the benefit you get from the habit, which makes your brain want to repeat it.
Can you give us an example of how this works in real life?
Sure, let's take the habit of checking social media. The cue might be feeling bored or picking up your phone. The routine is opening the app and scrolling through posts. And the reward is the little burst of dopamine you get when you see something interesting or when someone likes your post. Your brain remembers this reward and wants to repeat the cycle, so the next time you feel bored, you automatically reach for your phone.
That's really interesting. So understanding this loop is the key to changing habits?
Yes, exactly. If you want to change a habit, you need to identify all three parts of the loop. Once you understand what triggers the habit and what reward you're getting from it, you can start to make changes. The most effective approach is usually to keep the same cue and reward, but change the routine to something healthier or more productive.
I never thought about it that way before. So if I want to stop snacking on chocolate when I'm stressed, I should identify that stress is my cue and that the reward is feeling comforted. Then I could replace the chocolate with something else that gives me the same feeling of comfort, like making a cup of tea or going for a short walk.
That's a perfect example, James. You're not trying to eliminate the habit completely, which is really hard. Instead, you're redirecting it toward a healthier behavior while still satisfying the underlying need. Now let's talk specifically about breaking bad habits. James, do you have any bad habits you've tried to change?
Oh, definitely. One habit I really struggled with was staying up too late watching TV shows. I would tell myself I'd only watch one episode, but then I'd end up watching 3 or 4 and going to bed way past midnight. The next day I'd be exhausted, but I'd do the same thing again that night.
I can relate to that. Streaming services are designed to keep you watching. So how did you break that habit?
It took me several attempts. The first thing I tried was pure willpower, but that rarely worked because by the end of an exciting episode, I was too invested to stop. Willpower alone isn't usually enough because we only have a limited amount of it each day.
That's such an important point. What worked better for you?
What finally worked was changing my environment. I moved the TV remote to a different room and put a book on my bedside table instead. I also set an alarm for 10 o'clock that reminded me to start getting ready for bed. By making it harder to watch TV and easier to read, I gradually shifted my evening routine.
That's a great strategy. I've heard that changing your environment is one of the most effective ways to change habits. What else helped you?
Understanding why I was watching TV helped. I realized I was using it to unwind and escape from stress. Once I understood that, I could find other ways to relax that didn't keep me up all night, like taking a bath or listening to calming music.
I had a similar experience with checking my phone first thing in the morning. I used to spend 20 or 30 minutes scrolling before I even got out of bed. It was a terrible way to start the day because I'd immediately feel stressed.
How did you break that habit?
I bought an old-fashioned alarm clock and started charging my phone in another room overnight. Instead, I started a new morning routine of stretching and writing in a journal before looking at any screens. It was difficult at first, but now I actually enjoy my phone-free mornings.
Now let's talk about the other side of the coin, building new positive habits. This is something I think a lot of people struggle with, including myself. Emma, have you successfully built any good habits recently?
Yes, about 6 months ago, I decided I wanted to start meditating regularly. I'd heard so much about the benefits of meditation for stress and focus, but every time I'd tried before, I would do it for a few days and then forget about it. This time, I used a different approach, and it actually worked.
What did you do differently?
The main thing was starting incredibly small. In the past, I'd tried to meditate for 20 or 30 minutes, which felt like a huge commitment. This time, I committed to just 2 minutes a day. It sounds almost ridiculous, but 2 minutes was so easy that I couldn't make excuses not to do it. Even on my busiest days, I could find 2 minutes.
That's interesting. So starting small removed the barrier of it feeling like too much effort?
Exactly. The hardest part of any habit is just starting. Once I was consistently doing 2 minutes every day, it was easy to gradually increase the time. Now I meditate for 15 to 20 minutes most days, and it feels natural rather than forced. The key was building the habit first and then expanding it rather than trying to do too much from the beginning.
I've heard this called habit stacking, or tiny habits. The idea is that you attach a new habit to an existing one, right?
Yes, that's another technique I used. I attached my meditation to my morning coffee routine. Every day after I make my coffee, before I drink it, I meditate. Because making coffee is already automatic, it acts as a trigger for meditation. My brain has now connected these two activities.
That's brilliant. Another thing that helped me was tracking progress visually. Combined to right.
Yes, I have a calendar where I put a cross on each day that I meditate. There's something satisfying about seeing a long chain of crosses, and I don't want to break it. It's a visual reminder of progress that keeps me motivated.
That's also a form of reward, which reinforces the habit.
Exactly. And one more thing, be patient and forgiving with yourself. Building a new habit takes at least 2 months. There will be days when you miss or slip back, and that's normal. Just get back on track the next day.
That's important advice. A lot of people have an all or nothing mentality where missing one day feels like complete failure. But one missed day doesn't erase your progress, it's just a small setback.
What a fantastic discussion about habits. Now, let me explain some important vocabulary from today's episode. First, we have habit. A habit is a regular behavior or action that you do automatically, often without thinking about it. Habits can be good, like exercising, or bad, like biting your nails. We say break a habit when we stop a bad one, and build a habit or form a habit when we create a new one. Next is routine. A routine is a sequence of actions that you do regularly, usually at the same time each day. Your morning routine might include showering, having breakfast, and brushing your teeth. Routines are made up of multiple habits linked together. Then we have willpower. Willpower is the ability to control yourself and resist temptation. It's the mental strength you use when you choose to do something difficult instead of something easy. James mentioned that willpower alone isn't usually enough to change habits because we have a limited amount of it. Trigger is another important word. A trigger is something that causes a habit to start. It could be a time of day, a place, an emotion, or another action. Emma said that making coffee triggers her meditation habit. Understanding your triggers is essential for changing habits. We also discussed consistency. Consistency means doing something regularly, without stopping or changing. If you're consistent with a new habit, you do it every day without skipping. Consistency is the key to making habits stick. Finally, rewarding. If something is rewarding, it gives you satisfaction, pleasure, or a sense of achievement. Habits continue because they are rewarding in some way. Even bad habits have rewards, which is why they're hard to stop. Those are your habit vocabulary words. Back to Emma and James.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Those words are really useful for talking about habits and personal development in English.
Let's quickly review. Habit, routine, willpower, trigger, consistency, and rewarding. Try to use these words when you talk about your own habits.
We'd love to hear from you. What habits are you trying to change or build? What strategies have worked for you? Share your experiences in the comments below. We read every comment and love hearing your stories.
This is the first episode of our B1 Intermediate series. We're really excited to explore more complex and interesting topics with you. The conversations will be longer and the vocabulary more advanced, which will help you improve your English skills.
Thank you so much for watching English Boost Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us create more content for you.
See you in the next episode. Take care and good luck with your habits.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Remember, small changes lead to big results.